The Democratic leader.
I ask unanimous consent the quorum be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Well, Mr. President, anyone who still believes that Trump has any intention of stopping his effort to steal American taxpayers to enrich himself, his family, and MAGA loyalists ought to listen to Trump's comments yesterday. Yesterday, Trump not only refused to commit ending his $2 billion taxpayer-funded MAGA slush fund permanently, he also said of the slush fund, quote, "I love it. I think it's so important. It's a beautiful thing." I repeat, here's what Trump said about this damn slush fund. He said, "I love it. I think it's so important. It was a beautiful thing." You hear that, America? You hear that, Republican senators? You hear it? Trump loves giving American taxpayers dollars to his billionaire friends. Trump thinks forcing Americans to fork over their paychecks to line the pockets of his corrupt friends is, quote, so important. Trump says ripping Americans off to give kickbacks to convicted criminals who beat police officers to death on January 6th is a beautiful thing. That's what he said. Trump's slush fund is anything but beautiful. It's heinous, and it won't die until we permanently ban it by law, not by language, not by verbal promises which can just evaporate, but by law. And we have the chance to do that this morning on the amendment I will offer. The very first amendment I will offer in vote-a-rama today will be to outlaw the slush fund forever. So when Trump wakes up a week from now or a month from now and says, "Why don't we try that slush fund again?" he won't be able to. He won't be able to. With the whole country watching, Republicans will have to choose either support the slush fund or ban it. They can come up with 10 excuses. It's a yes or no. Support the slush fund or ban it. Americans want a big, loud voice and vote to ban it permanently, to ban it forever. We're also going to force Republicans to vote on whether to let Trump keep the immunity he granted himself from audits so he can get out of paying his own taxes. This is what he put in the bill. This is what our Republican friends are putting in the bill. Donald Trump has a get-out-of-jail-free card. No audit ever of him and how he's evading taxes. And he's already tried to do that a whole bunch of times. There have been court cases about it. Let him do it? Let this level of corruption rise so it's going to drown all of us? Throw away those good old American values that have served this country well for 250 years because Donald Trump wants to take this money in a corrupt fund and scare you into voting yes? Come on. You Republicans are better than that, I hope. Donald Trump is less trustworthy than a snake oil salesman, than a back alley bookie, than the Nigerian prince in your email spam folder. Are Republicans blind? Are they so far removed from the American people? Do they not even know what corruption is anymore? That's what I think is happening over on that side of the aisle. Donald Trump has immersed so much of America in so much corruption, you don't even get it. But that's what America, you're taking the great values of America on our 250th year and flushing them down the toilet because you're afraid of Donald Trump. And listen, and another point. Are Republicans really going to take Todd Blanche, a known liar, at his word? Do we believe that Donald Trump, who has lied to us day in and day out, do we believe that he will be able to resist getting his sticky fingers in the slush fund when it would benefit himself and his family? No way. No way. And on vote-a-rama, which is part of this bill, rather than let Republicans try to force through their radical reconciliation bill under the cover of night. Democrats have made sure today's vote-a-rama happens in broad daylight because Americans deserve to see what Republicans are prioritizing instead of lowering their costs. Democrats will force Republicans to vote on Trump's MAGA slush fund, his lifetime tax exemption, his billion-dollar taxpayer-funded ballroom. But that's not all. Amendment after amendment, vote after vote, Republicans are going to have to answer to the American people on tariffs, on skyrocketing costs, on the disastrous war with Iran, on the violence Trump's masked agents have unleashed on our streets. All of that, they're going to have to vote on. Will Republicans vote for more affordable housing? Will Republicans require Trump's masked agents to wear body cameras? Will Republicans join Democrats to lower gas prices? Democrats will ensure that every failed Republican policy, every failed Trump policy that has driven up costs, unleashed chaos, and aided Trump's corruption will face a vote on the Senate floor today. And Democrats are going to show just how terrible this bill is from start to finish. Apparently, Republicans think we cannot afford a single penny to help Americans cover the skyrocketing costs of gasoline, of health care, of housing, of food, of energy, you name it. But somehow, we can afford to give another $70 billion to Trump's rogue agencies, even though ICE and Border Patrol already have $100 billion cash on hand. You hear that, driver? When you pull up to the gas pump, and it's $4.50 or even higher in many places, ask yourself, why don't Republicans vote to lower those prices instead of giving ICE and Border Patrol, already discredited, more money when they have $100 billion sitting there? Let's take stock of what we could buy with $170 billion Trump's personal police force would have at its disposal if this bill passed. Instead of shooting Americans dead in the street, the federal government could cut a $1,300 check to every household in America to lower gas prices that had been raised so by Trump's unending, it seems, war. Instead of masked agents breaking down your door in the middle of the night without a warrant, we could fund programs that help Americans keep the heat on in the winter and the AC on in the summer 40 times over. Instead of dragging law-abiding parents and children into unmarked vehicles, that $170 billion could fund food stamps for nearly 2 years, or Head Start for 14 years, or child care assistance for 2 decades, things America wants. America, the contrast is clear. Democrats are fighting for you. Republicans are kowtowing to Trump and his corruption. I urge Republicans to vote like the American people are watching, because they are. On the Todd Blanche nomination. Last night, Donald Trump said, you hear this, everybody? He'll nominate Todd Blanche to be the permanent Attorney General. Yuck. Trump picked Blanche because he's loyal to the president alone, not the Constitution, not the rule of law, and certainly not to the American people, and not to the values that this country has had for 250 years. It's people like Blanche and Trump who rip those values up, of honesty and of fairness and of decency. That has been the hallmark of America that we're seeing them try to wipe away. For years, Blanche has been Trump's personal lawyer and attack dog, and that didn't stop when Blanche joined the Department of Justice. Blanche orchestrated Trump's self-dealing MAGA slush fund, granted his boss the audit immunity that gives the president free rein to commit tax fraud. Blanche has blocked the release of more than half the Epstein files, withholding 3 million pages from the public. Maybe Epstein's friend, Donald Trump, could tell us why Blanche went to such lengths to cover up the files. Blanche also lied to Congress under oath when he claimed he had met with the Epstein survivors, something they said never happened. Blanche not only shields Trump from the law, he uses the justice system to go after his boss's political enemies, bringing baseless charges against the Southern Poverty Law Center, Jim Comey and others. Trump and Blanche are cut from the same crooked cloth. Democrats are going to oppose Blanche's confirmation as vehemently as we have opposed the slush fund and every other corrupt act Trump and his top fixer have committed. Unless Republicans want to remain complicit in Trump's corruption, they ought to oppose Blanche as well. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
Will the senator withdraw his request?
Will you withdraw your request? Quorum, I think.
Yes, I withdraw my request for a quorum.
Mr. President,
The senator from Oregon.
I ask unanimous consent to grant floor privileges to my summer interns for their shadow days on the following dates: Gabriella Swescom on June 16th, Lily Middleton on June 17th, Carmen Vintro on June 23rd, Tali Greenfield on June 24th, Anjuli Beirasinghe on July 14th, Kenat Deo on July 15th, Miguel Tejeda on July 21st, Dario Vote-a-rama on July 22nd, Lucan Pyle on July 28th, and Zuha Murad on July 29th.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that Alyssa Solanki and Harrison McBride on the Budget Committee minority staff be granted floor privileges during consideration of Senate Bill 2.
Without objection.
Mr. President, Americans are pressed to the wall. I've been holding town halls throughout Oregon. I've held 36 this year, one in every single county. Most of my Oregon counties are what you would call very red counties. But regardless of whether I'm in a blue county or a red county, folks are pretty upset. They are not happy that gas is over $5 a gallon and diesel over $6 a gallon. They're not pleased that grocery prices are going way up. They are disturbed that rent and housing costs are higher and higher. And we're seeing the impact with March home foreclosures reaching the highest rate in 6 years. They're aggravated about inflation hitting the highest rate in 3 years at 3.8%. And they are downright angry over health care costs. They're wondering why the hell the Senate went along and spearheaded an effort to wipe out the tax credits that made health care affordable for middle-class families. At the same time, they're hearing about how that big, beautiful bill from last year gave massive tax breaks to the richest Americans. So, gas up and diesel up and fertilizer up and groceries up and housing up, and the business of this chamber under the leadership across the aisle is to give tax breaks to billionaires? What the hell is going on here? That's just crazy. That is not government buying for the people. That's government buying for the powerful. What does this current reconciliation bill do for those families? Not a damn thing. Not one penny. Not one penny. Not one dime in the couch cushion. Nothing. What does it do on groceries, gas, housing, health care? A big zero. Zero like in zilch, zilch like in nothing, like you all don't matter across America, we only care about the billionaires. And then it hands another $70 billion to ICE and CBP. ICE and CBP are sitting on $100 billion of unobligated funds. That's like, the dragon sitting on the huge mound of diamonds and rubies and gold, guarding it. And we're going to give them more? They're sitting on 4-year supply of funds right now. And we can't do anything for middle-class families, but we're going to give ICE and CBP more money to sit on? How does that possibly serve America? Are we doing reforms? Reforms that address the secret police practices that they've been executing, terrorizing our communities across the country? Not a single reform is in this bill. Stunning. And if it wasn't bad enough, my Republican colleagues are all in on corruption, all in on taxpayers footing the bill for Trump's gold-plated billion-dollar ballroom boondoggle, a massive Louis XIV-style building so large it turns the White House into this little tiny auxiliary dwelling unit next to Trump's massive, self-serving, ego-creating, fostering monument to himself. And the ballroom isn't all. I mean, shouldn't we be doing an anti-corruption bill on the floor right now? We're celebrating America's 250th anniversary, 250 years in which presidents served the people, not themselves. And yet, we're having this year be the one where we're seeing corruption on a scale America has never witnessed before. Remember the big corruption scandals we heard about growing up? Teapot Dome. Remember that Teapot Dome was name of an area in Wyoming where an interior secretary gave non-compete oil and gas leases in exchange for bribes of about $400,000. Well, $400,000, what's that compared to the president?
Senators
giving
are
himself-
reminded under Rule 19, Paragraph 2 provides that no senator in debate shall directly or indirectly by any form impute another senator or to other senators any conduct or motive unworthy or unbecoming of a senator.
Thank you for the reminder, but I think every senator here has an interest in taking on the corruption infecting America. And I would welcome the partnership of all 100 senators in this. And what about other corruption scandals we grew up with? How about Jack Abramoff, the man who was characterized as the man who bought Washington? Lavish golf trips and lavish gifts and free dinners and exclusive tickets in exchange for favors and votes here in Congress. Well, golf trips, how does that compare to $2 billion? The president giving himself control of $2 billion in a cash for cronies scheme. You know, many people believe the president was going to use that money to help foster disruption of the November election. That's how concerned Americans are about the integrity of the upcoming November election. But think how small Jack Abramoff's corruption is compared to giving yourself $2 billion. Or how about Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas accepting dozens of gifts from folks with issues before the court, accepting vacations and private jet flights and stays at luxury resorts, and a rolling bus that he got a subsidized loan for, a loan that was forgiven in the largest part.
Senator's time has expired.
Excuse me, Mr. President, what's that?
Senator's time is expired.
Oh, well, can I ask for one more minute to complete my comments?
Without objection.
It boils down to this, folks. We should be helping the people of America, not adding $170 billion more when the ICE and CBP are sitting on the money. We should be reforming ICE and CBP. We should be helping Americans with the issues of the cost of gas and groceries and health care. We should be taking on this vast corruption, defending the integrity of the United States. That would be a great way, each of these, to celebrate our 250th anniversary. But that's not what we're doing today. So let's dump this bill where it belongs, in the trash heap. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator of South Carolina.
Thank you. We'll be starting the process here soon. I ask unanimous consent that there be 2 minutes of debate equally divided prior to each vote in relation to calendar number 417S2.
Without objection.
Thank you. Well, let me tell you sort of why we're here. We're trying to dig out of a hole created by our colleagues on the other side during the Biden administration that was a nightmare for America's national security, for our economic well-being, and the wake of open borders and irrational and irresponsible Biden immigration policy is wide and it's steep. And what have we been able to achieve in less than 2 years? During the Biden years, we had 5,110 people come across illegally every day. Apprehended. That's the ones we apprehended. Where are we at today? 0. Pretty good. So what do you get for your money? You go from 5,110 people to 0. What do you get for your money if you're a taxpayer out there about, is there anything in this for you? Yeah, you're less likely to be a victim of crime that results from out of control illegal immigration. Just in my state alone, in April 2026, a 12-year-old boy and a 9-year-old boy from Spartanburg were killed by illegal immigrant in a drunk driving car crash. 156 pounds of fentanyl that originated in Mexico, smuggled across the southern border, the largest seizure of fentanyl in South Carolina history, and enough to kill 36 million people. Hopefully that will be harder to do in the future. June 25, 72 illegal aliens at Charleston nightclub run by a member of a cartel were arrested. The University of South Carolina student, 21-year-old Nathaniel Baker, student, was killed in a hit-and-run crash by an illegal alien. A mother of 2 was murdered in Rock Hill by a group of 6 illegal immigrants. February 2025, DEA arrests 4 suspects in Sumter involved in money laundering for 2 Mexican cartels, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. What are we doing here? We're going to be spending $69.5 billion to accomplish 2 things: to fully fund the Border Patrol and ICE through the end of President Trump's term. Why are we here? Through the normal appropriations process, Democrats would not give the Border Patrol or ICE 1 dime. We had reforms, we had agreement, and it just didn't work. We tried to reach common ground through Senator Britt and Senator Collins, pretty well known for trying to reach a deal. We're unable to get a deal because she rejected reform. You're more worried about the lunatic base than you are protecting people from rampant crime and drugs pouring into our country. So most Americans are with us, not with you. Most Americans want to stop the madness. Most Americans want a secure border and they want an immigration system that is rational. They want ICE to go after people that shouldn't be here illegally, and can we reform ICE? Yes. So you're going to get $38.6 billion to ICE so they can do their job, train new agents, have $108.5 million allocated to a fund for child exploitation investigations. One of the great crimes associated with illegal immigration is kids are smuggled into this country for child sex rings, and we're going to have $108 million to beef that up. $22 billion for the Customs Border Patrol to hire new people to modernize the system. $3.5 billion for improvements to border security, including air and marine operations, efforts to combat drug trafficking. $5 billion for DHS to ensure the agency has sufficient funding to carry out its needs. What you get is a secure border versus a broken border. What you get is ICE being able to do its job instead of being closed for business. To my Democratic colleagues, you're on the wrong side of this issue. You will find out in November. What we're doing has to be done. I hate that we're having to use reconciliation to do this, but we have no other choice. Plenty of us were willing to work through the appropriations process to reform Border Patrol and ICE, but that didn't work. So we're left with the task of doing nothing or doing something. And through reconciliation, we can do something, and we're going to do it. We're going to fund the Border Patrol and ICE at $69.5 billion that will get us what we need to finish out President Trump's term. So this is one less thing America has to worry about. If you don't see a threat stream to our national security increasing, you're deaf, dumb, and blind. The threats to our country going up exponentially, not down. Is now really the time to shut down the Border Patrol, given what's coming out of the Mideast? Is now really the time to shut down the Border Patrol to let more drugs into our country? Is now really the time to close ICE for business and have nobody out there rounding up some of the bad guys that need to be rounded up and taken out of our country? Really, we're having to fix a problem that's been created because our Democratic colleagues have lost their way, in my view, as to what it takes to make America secure. It takes controlling one's border. It takes having law enforcement agencies that can function to control illegal immigration, to have a sovereign nation. If we don't do what we're doing today, then the Border Patrol and ICE will continue to go without money. People are being laid off. Systems to protect us from Ebola and other pandemics coming to our country will be shut down. Is now the time?
Senator's time has expired.
Is now the time to shut down your border? No. Now's the time to give the money they need to finish the job that's so important to the rest of us. I look forward to this debate. Thank you very much.
Under the previous order, all debate time is expired.
Mr. President,
Minority Leader.
I have a motion to commit at the desk.
Clerk will report.
Senator from New York, Mr. Schumer, moves to commit the Bill S-2 to the Committee on the Judiciary with instructions to report the same back to the Senate in 3 days, not counting any day on which the Senate is not in session, with changes that, 1, are within the jurisdiction of such committee, and 2, safeguard the Department of Justice from partisan political influence and corruption, which may include prohibiting any amounts appropriated for payments under Section 1304 of Title 31, United States Code, from being used for or transferred to the Anti-Weaponization Fund.
Under the previous order, there will now be 2 minutes for debate, equally divided.
Mr. President,
Senator of New York, Minority Leader.
my very first amendment offers Republicans a choice. Do you support Donald Trump's $2 billion taxpayer-funded slush fund, or do you want to protect the American people and their paychecks by outlawing this criminal, crony, cashback program permanently? America has never seen a more clear-cut case of corruption. America has never seen a more clear-cut case of corruption than Donald Trump's slush fund. Trump sues Trump. Trump settles with Trump. Trump gives Trump Americans taxpayer dollars. Trump won't give Americans a penny to help offset the skyrocketing costs he brought on our country. But he's more than happy to charge them nearly $2 billion to line the pockets of his families, his billionaire friends, and the criminals who mauled police officers on January 6th. If Republicans truly oppose this corruption, then prove it.
Senator's time has expired.
Support my amendment and ban the slush fund permanently by law. Instead, Republicans are trusting the word of Todd Blanche, who built a career on lying that the administration will just drop the slush fund. Trump hasn't even pretended to promise that the slush fund is done. Instead, Trump said of the slush fund, I love it. I think it's important. It's a beautiful thing. I ask unanimous consent for 30 more seconds.
Expired. Is there objection? Objection is heard.
Mr. President?
Senator of Ohio.
You know, honestly, I didn't hear a word that the minority leader said because I didn't hear him address what we're here to do. We're here to complete our oath of office, which is to provide security and safety for the American people. And I want to speak directly to the Border Patrol agents and the people who work in law enforcement that wake up every day to protect us. We will do our jobs today. We will fund your paychecks. They refuse to do it. They are going to play so many games over the next 8, 9, 10 hours. Bring it on. Because what we will do today is we will make certain that communities are safe in this country. We are going to fund immigration enforcement and Border Patrol. And I urge my Republican colleagues to stay united on that singular mission. I urge my colleagues to vote no.
Mr. President, I note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks.
Mr. President,
Minority Leader.
I ask unanimous consent the quorum be dispensed with, and I'd be given 30 seconds. I ask unanimous consent the quorum be dispensed with.
Is there objection? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent. I'd be allowed an additional 30 seconds to conclude my remarks, which we traditionally always give that courtesy.
Is there objection? Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know my colleagues are afraid to hear the truth, and that is why they objected when it is almost never, there's never an objection when the leaders speak. But let me finish my remarks. Republicans are trusting the word of Todd Blanche, who built a career on lying, that the administration will just drop the slush fund. Trump hasn't even pretended to promise that the slush fund is done. Instead, here's what Trump said of the slush fund. I love it. I think it's so important. It's a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. Republican senators need to stop playing dumb. They need to listen to the truth and stop trusting these fools like Todd Blanche, who lies to the American people repeatedly. Do we believe, do any of us believe, that Donald Trump, who has lied to us day in and day out, will be able to resist getting his sticky fingers in the slush fund when it would benefit himself and his family?
Senator's
No
time's
way.
expired.
For something as corrupt as this slush fund, toothless guardrails, meek reforms, and empty promises won't cut it. We need to outlaw it permanently. I ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there a second? There appears to be. Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Mr. Armstrong, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Britt, Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto, Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Daines, Ms. Duckworth, Mr. Durbin. Ms. Ernst. Sir. Mr. Fetterman. Mrs. Fisher. Mr. Gallego. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mr. Haggerty. Ms. Hassan. Mr. Hawley. Mr. Heinrich. Mr. Hickenlooper. Ms. Hirono. Mr. Hoven. Mr. Husted.